Hello, everyone, again. Welcome again. Today, we're going to start a set of several videos regarding the fundamental principles in attack or offensive organization or organized attack, how you want to call it. And also later, we're going to have also fundamental principles in defense. As I mentioned before, these are principles according to normally how we use tactical position, but you can choose or you can use or you can utilize what you think for your playing model is correct. The only condition that they must have is that they must be tactical, okay, fundamental tactical principles and not technical or not. For example, I see a lot of coaches who have improvisation, which is fine, but it's not a tactical concept, okay? The principle of offensive cover is related to the actions that the footballers or the soccer players, however you want to call it, will execute according to the ball carrier or player in possession, with the objective that they have options to maintain possession of the ball by means of passing or penetrating the opposing defense. It has nothing to do with individual technical action of protecting the ball, okay? Because I have, especially in Spanish, a lot of people ask me if this has anything to do with you, a footballer, maintaining possession of the ball or covering it, and it has nothing to do. It's a tactical concept, okay? Maintaining possession of the ball by a team depends not only on individual technical aspects, but fundamentally on tactical aspects. So most of the, especially sports journalists and a lot of people in soccer and football think that for you to maintain possession, you only have to have a good technical qualities or skills. And of course, you need that, of course. It's very obvious. You need to be able to control the ball, possess the ball, and be able to keep it. But more importantly, in a team, the passing options, the angles, and the distances of your teammates will help you accomplish this. If a team does not have this, the player, he can be a phenomenon technically, but he most likely will lose the ball constantly if the team does not have what we just mentioned before, which is good passing lanes, good distance in between, when they're supposed to move the players all together, which we call viajar juntos, which we're going to talk about, okay? So trusting your teammate, what we call fijar, which is to stand and attract a defender to generate a space for a teammate, to drag defenders into spaces where we pretend. So it's always moving and acting, behaving according to the team and not individually, okay? Not running after the ball to anywhere, it has to have a sense, tactical sense. Positional play. Quoting Juan Malillo, the positional play is a constant search for numerical qualitative superiority. You cannot pretend to play positionally without first having created a collective feeling where each player recognizes their role within the system. In an interview, Guardiola mentions, the role of the footballer as a positional play must be much more humble than any other style of play. He requires transferring the responsibility to his teammates and often waiting in a position far from where the ball is. Later, we're going to see a video about this with Thierry Henry talking about this. Trusting that your position will help the player and team collectively, and eventually you can participate or not in the play that helps your team. Therefore, that movement, according to good positional play, can be sometimes moving or just standing, what we call fijar in Spanish, as a way for the creation of spaces elsewhere. Respect the benefactor-beneficiary duality. My action benefits you and vice versa. So it's a very collective way of behaving. Remember, as Professor Frade talks about football or soccer, it's something that has to be executed by many footballers or soccer players, but and at the same time, the idea, the thought of what they're going to do has to be in the same precise time. Okay, so it's not only something that a player will do individually, but many players not only think about it, okay, the same thing at the same time, but execute it at the same time, okay? Okay, we're going to talk about Thierry Henry, ex-footballer, famous footballer that played for France, of course, and Arsenal and Barca. Okay, talk about Guardiola and the positional play.
You mentioned a few moments ago, Pep Guardiola, who seems to be the most in-demand man in world football right now. Louis van Gaal, we're talking about there, and Guardiola. Are there similarities?
I think yes, you have a similarity. The first two-thirds of the field, it's pretty much the same. Structured, there is a way. Pep used to give us a plan and you have to execute it. But in the last third of the field, that was freedom for us. He was allowing us to do what we wanted to do. So let me show you now. You're going to see here, you go through Xavi, and I'm going to stop it already here. Look at Andres Iniesta. How many times we would have seen a player coming and asking for the ball here? Not with Barcelona. Stay in your position, trust your teammate on the ball, and wait for the ball. And look at where I am. Up there. That position allows Iniesta to get the ball where you saw it before, because I'm occupying the right back. I'm going to let it run. Eto'o comes. Xavi's on the ball. Leo is where he's supposed to be, out. Now that's when the freedom starts to come. I'm going to pose it around here. This is me.
Set free, so to speak.
Freedom. Last third run, you allow two. You start in a high position and wide. After that, you can do whatever you want. Same thing here. You can actually see me going backwards to go back to the wing, because that's where I was supposed to be, and that's where he wanted me to be. So you're going to see soon, because I vacate that space, Leo Messi is going to come and get the ball there. He gets the ball. I make my run. Hey, I didn't get the ball. What do? I come back and make another run for Samuel Eto'o. I get the ball. I didn't score, but Eto'o does. Freedom. And here you will not get a better picture than this. 2 years later, I'm not there anymore. David Villa, one of the best center forward in the game, in his position where he should be. They pass the ball, and that's pretty aware what you see, Xavi and Andres being on the same side of the ball. But because he's holding that position so high, then they can play inside. They can play inside, Pedro's in the pocket, ball coming, and I want to stop around here. That's why he had to stay there for this. The run of Iniesta. Sergio Ramos is in trouble right now, because if he doesn't follow, as you can see, Iniesta, he goes 1v1 with the keeper. Xavi on the ball, trust me, that's a 1v1 with the keeper. On the other side, therefore, he cannot mark two men at the same time.
But that's Iniesta running forward, isn't it? Don't
Yeah,
forget
it is.
the clips we
Freedom.
were showing. Mata and Fellaini just stood still in position.
And that's freedom. Next thing you know, who's going to score? Your other winger. Inside. Freedom. You're allowed to go. You're not over there by the line, I don't know why, talking to the corner flag. That's where you want to be, and that's where you're going to score a goal. And this is what we used to do, same thing. I'm not there anymore, but the same concept. Right about here. He can, I'm going to try to pass, go a bit forward with it and leave it here. So I'm going to bring you back to Martial and the run he made. Instead of going inside, he went out. David Villa, same thing, striker, goals. To win a game, you need to score goals. He's there. What does he see? He's winning his battle. Run in there. Not by the corner flag or going over there by the touch line. He wants to score a goal. Trust your teammate. He's going to find you. What a pass and what a finish.
Well, you're talking about the freedom he gave you that you don't think Van Gaal's given to the Manchester United players. Would he just say, just go out and play, or do you still have instructions in that?
Basically, from training to the game, up until the last third, like I said before, he used to call it the 3 P's. Play, possession, and position. And the most important one, as you can see, was position. You have to stay in your position, trust your teammates in order for that ball to come to you. So, for example, if, I'm going to show you now if I can. Sometime in training, to make you understand that, and especially for Xavi and Iniesta, he was putting some cones, and I'm going to draw a line here. It's easier for me. Up until, I would say, the last third, okay? And guys that were supposed to play on the right were not allowed to cross on the left, and on the left, you're not allowed to cross on the right. So I'm going to put a line also for the last third where that was freedom for us.
So similar to Van Gaal in the first.
Yeah, very similar. Listen, you had the plan. If you don't actually do what he's asking you to do here, you're going to be in trouble.
Well, okay, so you're playing left wing. If you
So-
you wanted maybe what you did at Arsenal when and played on another side, what would happen?
Listen, I wanted to be clever one day, like we all try to do. Sometimes you kind of don't listen to your manager because you didn't touch the ball for a little while and you're like, okay, they're enjoying football over there. Let me try and see if I can be part of it. So me being me, I went there a couple of times to play with Leo, 1-2 or whatever it was. And I could hear him being upset on the side because I was on the side of the dugout. I still went there. I scored a goal. 1-0 up against Sporting Lisbon. Come back at half-time, all nice and everything. It took me off.
No way.
It did. I was like, what did I do wrong? So, very similar to Van Gaal. When Pep had the plan, respect his plan. That's you. So, he used to say to us the first time he took the team, he said, my job is to bring you up until the last third. Your job is to finish it. That's what he used to say to us. So, for example, when you see Villa staying here, is to give, and then you will have your 9, and then you know, but he will. That's to find freedom for Iniesta and Xavi back in the days, is Rakitic now, or whoever is playing. And that pretty much was the structure. But he used to do that to explain to us, don't go on the other side.
Okay, fascinating. We will talk more, I'm sure, about Pep Guardiola.
Okay, so as we see in the video, Thierry Henry explaining how Guardiola, when he's talking about positional play, and basically he talked about many things, but basically how his teams normally are expected or they train to execute his ideas, his playing model, okay? In the modern pitch today, we have the half spaces. Normally the pitch is divided in 5 lanes. These half spaces have real importance since most of the goals are generated in the 2 half spaces and normally finished in the central mid space or mid lane, okay? So these half spaces now have really taken over as far as importance, not only the zone 14, number 14 zone, which before used to be considered extremely important, but now also the half spaces have a real importance in creating these chances, okay? Because normally the crosses that come from the 2 outside lanes on the outside, normally these crosses do not have a lot of danger normally, according to big data for the teams that are defending. So we're going to try constantly, according to, you're going to see in modern football, especially in European football, how teams are always trying to exploiting these half spaces, okay? And this is why always we have teams who play with wingers with the opposing foot. For example, a left-footed player playing on the right and a right-footed player playing on the left, because if he or she penetrates through the inside, he will have the whole goal, and he will be able to throw wall passes, and we will be able to penetrate, to dribble, to shoot, or even to cross the ball into the second post, okay? So this becomes really dangerous, okay? According to Guardiola, for offensive cover, which is this principle that we're always trying to have for our players when we're in possession, he always tries to have in the 2 vertical lanes, not more in the vertical lanes, not more than 2 players that will be on the vertical lanes. And the horizontal lanes, he will not have more than 3 players on the same lanes, on the horizontal lanes. And this is why, because this allows your team, if you're in different spaces, the player who has possession is going to have multiple passing options. If you have 4 players in the same horizontal lane, for example, 1 or 2 players of the opposing team, of the defending team, can easily shut down these passing lanes. So it is very important for the players to be in the correct angles, okay, according to the player that has possession of the football, okay, his teammates have to have the correct angles, okay, and also the correct distances. If the distances are too long, for example, if I see, like I see here in South American football, soccer, that, for example, a defender has the ball and the wings or the center forward are 60, 70 meters away or apart, it will be very difficult for you to, as we call it in Spain, viajar juntos, to travel together, to progress as a block, as a team, because the players are too far away from each other and they're not going to be able to associate, okay? So it's very important the distances, okay? The amount of players in the lanes. Guardiola uses this system where he tries not to have more than 2 players in the same vertical line. For example, if it's the left fullback and the left wing, we don't want a left midfielder or a center forward also occupying the same lane, okay? And the same goes to the horizontal lanes. If we have, for example, 2 or 3 midfielders in the same horizontal lane, we don't want the fullback to be in the same horizontal lane. So we would want maybe one of the midfielders to move forward or move backwards, okay? A fullback maybe to move forward or move backwards, and so on, okay? So this will allow our footballer, our player, to have many passing options, okay? Normally, I use a different system. I use normal 7 horizontal lanes and vertical lanes. So I always try to have many different lanes across the pitch, okay, vertically and horizontally. And this allows, and of course the distances, and this allows my teams to progress with good possession and traveling together, okay, and having, of course, a good rhythm of play, a playing rhythm also as well, which means that we want the ball to move freely and quickly with steady passing, with high tension on the football, so that we were able to move the opposing team and not the team will be standing there and will be very easy for them to absorb zonally our team, okay? So this is the modern pitch that we use today. You're going to see the 2 lower option areas, which are the 2 lanes on the outside. Then we're going to have the 2 half spaces, which are the 2 lanes next to the outer lanes. And then we have the most goals created, which is the center lane, normally where the finishing situations are either created or finished, okay? And this type of pitch has changed dramatically in the last couple of years. We've been using this type of pitches in Spain for over maybe 15 years, 20 years, okay? And now, they're seen now in other places, like in the Premier League and in other leagues, okay? And now I want to try to translate what Lillo, which is Guardiola's mentor and was also his assistant coach in Manchester City, what he means by viajar juntos, or travel together, okay?
Aconteceres previos son los que permiten robar cerca donde la pierdes, ¿eh? Sí.
What happens before is actually what allows you to regain possession of the ball after losing it.
Aconteceres previos son los que permiten robar cerca donde la pierdes, ¿eh? Si tú no has viajado juntos,
If you don't travel together with the ball,
tú no puedes robar en cuanto la
you
pierdes. Si
cannot
quedas muy
steal
lejos de la
immediately
pierna,
after
no
losing
puedes
it.
ir a apretar.
So you cannot press immediately after you lose the ball. So we're always, like I mentioned several times before, we're always thinking of the game as a whole, not individually. So when we're in possession, we're thinking also of losing possession and gaining it immediately. So if we don't travel together, if we don't have good offensive cover, and we don't have good positional play, we are not going to be able to press immediately after losing the ball.
Hacer un gran esfuerzo y el otro va a tomar la decisión tranquilo. Si nosotros vamos todos juntos, ahí sí puedes ir a robar.
If we all travel together, there we're able to steal the ball.
O sea que lo que pasa en la determinación para robar tiene que ver con lo que ha pasado hasta que roba.
What happens after we lose the ball is a consequence of what happened when we were in possession of the ball, okay?
Hasta que la pierdes, digámoslo así, entre comillas. que en el fútbol perder o tener el balón no se puede tener. Bueno,
In football or soccer, you cannot have the ball. Only the goalkeeper when he has the ball in his hands, okay? But the footballers, your team,
sí,
cannot have the
lo
ball.
tienes en la mano cuando vas a sacar de banda, lo demás no lo puedes tener. Puedes disponer del
We
balón,
can
pero tenerlo
dispose
no
of the
puedes.
ball, but not have it.
Entonces, si tú no estás muy junto a
If
través
we're
del
not
pase,
together
tú no puedes
through
robar la
passing the
jugada
ball, we
inmediatamente.
cannot steal the ball immediately, okay? Or press after immediately losing the ball. So correctly using the principle of offensive coverage, a good positional game where our footballers travel together will allow us not only to reduce the risk of losing possession of the ball and reach opposing goal with many players, but also to be well positioned to apply good pressure after losing possession and recover it quickly and near the opponent's goal. I don't know if many people know that when Guardiola used to be in Barcelona, one of the principles was gaining possession of the ball after 6 seconds, okay? I was losing the ball. And I remember when I used to watch matches of Barcelona at that time with my son, who was a fan of Barcelona, and I would tell them to start counting and how they would have problems if the opposing team had more than 6 seconds of possession. They would have problems because the playing model was built this way. It was built to try to press immediately after losing the ball and gaining it, normally near the opponent's goal, okay? It's not due to aesthetic reasons nor to play nice, but to tactical and counter-tactical aspects where our team will have more chances of winning than losing playing this way, okay? Now, how can we implement, how can we teach this principle? Normally through rondos, positional games, possessions, and constrained matches, all of them, of course, which are our methodological tools or situaciones preferenciales, preferential situations, as Cerulo calls them, okay? And basically, what we're going to look for always is good visual contact, delimiting the space if it's a rondo, where our players will not be in the same space. Many players will not be in the same space as their teammates when they're in possession of the ball, okay? So when they're in possession of the ball, look at each other, not cover the same space. Always be in different spaces. No? I train this a lot in Spain and also here now with rondos, possession exercise with jokers outside, where the jokers and the players inside, they have to be in different lanes on as far as the horizontal and vertical lines. Okay, positional games, the same thing. Always remember also not only the occupy different lanes, but also the distances are very important. Okay, the controls when the players control the ball, the position of the body structure, the body positioning, and how they're going to be standing. Okay. Also very important the playing rhythm. Okay, the ball circulation speed of the ball has to be good also as well. Okay. And with these tools you will be able to teach it and train it, okay? And as I said before, possession football is not a question of just good technical individual skills. It's mainly a tactical collective aspect, okay? And not so much an individual technical skill. You can have Maradona or Messi, but if he is in a team where he doesn't have good positional play, the team will lose the ball. Okay, I remember this happening in Uruguay in the national team in the 90s, where we had, for example, players like Francescoli, which was one of the best players in the world at the time, and you would see him play in his team, and he would play one way, and when we see him play in our national team, he would play differently, and he would not be able to maintain possession of the ball, while in his team he would. And there you can see very clearly the difference, okay? So this is one of the offensive principles, fundamental principles or specific principles that we use. And if you're interested in this type of football, good possession, because possession has is very important, okay? I think this aspect, knowing this aspect and training it, it's really going to help your team, okay? So if you haven't subscribed or liked, please do and share the channel to other colleagues, teachers, professors, coaches that are trying to teach this beautiful game. And please share, like, subscribe, comment if you have any suggestions, anything you would like to see in the future, or anything that you see that you don't understand. You can see there my email address, as you can see there, and hope to see you again then. Take care. Bye-bye.